Minneapolis used to be known as Mill City. They provided all the grain for the entire world.
The last time I was in Minneapolis, I think I was about 6 years old, so honestly, I don't really remember any of it. But after spending my adult life traveling all around the world, coming back to a place like this felt different. Not because the city changed, but because I did, and I was about to realize how much of my home country I'd been missing. So even though I didn't have much time, I wanted to see what it actually feels like to be here. My day started out right near the airport. I had just flown in from Japan the night before, so waking up this morning, my brain was completely fried, and I was seriously jet lagged. But luckily there was a tram stop right near where I'd spent the night by the airport. So after breakfast, my wife Rossa and I decided to give Minneapolis public transport a try. For about $2 a ride, it's actually pretty solid. But we weren't taking it the whole way, because to really understand Minneapolis means meeting up with someone local. This is my friend Janette, and she's showing us around today. Now, usually when you visit Minneapolis, you might end up at the Mall of America, or maybe a baseball game or the fair, or even that giant spoon and cherry sculpture, but Janette had a different plan. The Mississippi River runs right through Minneapolis, and not far from it, a smaller creek feeds into something completely unexpected. This is Minnehaha Falls. The name comes from the Dakota language, meaning water and curling, which is pretty fitting.
That's pretty big to be in the middle of the city.
Long before this was a big city, this exact land was home to Dakota and Ojibwe communities for over 12,000 years. If you want to start at the true beginning of Minneapolis, this feels like the perfect place to do it.
You see that fish?
Huh?
This fish just went like flying.
Oh, he's fishing.
Today, the falls aren't the only surprise.
And I just randomly happened to come at the moment when somebody proposed. What a perfect place for that.
Seeing a 10,000-year-old waterfall in the middle of a major US city is definitely not what I expected. As we continued our drive into South Minneapolis, Janette told us about what life's like for her here.
Nokomis means grandmother in Ojibwe.
I hadn't even realized that for 2 years running, it had been ranked the happiest city in the United States. There's clearly more to this city than that, and we'll touch on it later in the video. But for now, it's lunchtime. Minneapolis has a massive food scene, but when your time here is limited, I kept hearing that there's really only one thing you have to try. If you ask anyone in Minneapolis who invented their famous burger, the Juicy Lucy, you very well might start an argument. Some people swear it was Matt's bar, but others will say that the 5-8 Club actually did it first. So today we're giving the 5-8 Club a try.
Can I ask you, you all invented the Juicy Lucy here? Okay, cool. What's your best Juicy Lucy?
The classic with American cheese is the one that I always recommend if you've never had one before. Okay, do you work for Minneapolis Public Schools?
I work for the
union? Okay, I just got hired there, so I recognized you when I walked in. Yes, because I was like, there must be something.
Yeah,
that's great. We're all nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you. But before we give the Juicy Lucy a try, some chicken poppers with peanut butter and jelly. Ooh, it's hot. Tastes like something from a state fair. It's not bad. Thank you.
But we'd obviously come here for the main event. A burger where the cheese isn't on top, but rather cooked right inside the meat.
Alright, so this guy right here, this is the classic Juicy Lucy with American cheese on the inside. It's recommended with a side of fries. And this is the original Juicy Lucy, correct?
That's what people say.
Okay. It's supposed to be served with these caramelized, I guess they're red onions. No, maybe they're not. Let's give it a taste. Oh, that's actually really good. It's very cheesy. Oh my god. This is insane. Salty, sweet from the onions. Really, really cheesy. This is good.
Eating a Juicy Lucy in a near-century-old tavern, it feels like stepping right into that classic, traditional version of the US you see in the movies. While I was in town, I spent some time exploring beyond the city limits too. And if you drive just 15 or 20 minutes outside of Minneapolis, that classic Americana is exactly what you'll find. The contrast is kind of wild. You can go from dense urban neighborhoods to just completely checking out, boating on the Mississippi, or walking across a massive dam.
The Mississippi is a very powerful river. But just over here it looks so calm. The river starts 382 miles north of here, where I am just north of Minneapolis.
You even run into places like Anoka, a quiet river town that officially claims the title of the Halloween capital of the world. It's quirky, it's peaceful, and it's unmistakably Midwestern. But if you only stayed out by the lakes, the suburbs, or the waterfalls, you'd completely miss what the Twin Cities is actually made of. Because it's a lot more than just a pretty Midwestern postcard. It's a city carrying the weight of recent tragedy alongside a very real, very raw kind of hope. And that's exactly why you need a local like Janette to show you around. Because right after lunch, we didn't head out to the suburbs. We drove straight into the heart of South Minneapolis, to a place that tells a very different story about where this country is actually at. Walking into George Floyd Square, the atmosphere shifts completely. It's a heavy place. You feel the tragedy immediately. Especially standing in front of the Say Their Name cemetery. It's a physical, undeniable reminder of the pain carried by Black Minnesotans and communities across the country.
But when you see how many names there are here, it's a little bit different than when you read an article about an individual person.
I can't pretend to know what it's like to walk in those shoes, and it's not my story to tell. But as an outsider standing here, what surprised me most wasn't just the grief. It was the resilience. You don't just feel the loss in this square. You feel a defiant, very real kind of hope. It's a community holding its ground and taking care of its own. Minneapolis isn't a city just shaped by the easy times, but it is a city shaped by the people who forced the country to look in the mirror. From artists like Prince, who gave the city its voice, to writers like Louise Erdrich, and even one of my personal heroes, Bob Dylan, who left his mark here too, all the way to the local communities fighting to protect their home. So after visiting George Floyd Square, we continued our drive through South Minneapolis.
Oh my gosh, what is this?
Oh yeah, these are grain elevators and things like that.
They used to operate.
Yeah.
Okay.
Minneapolis used to be known as Mill City.
Right.
They provided all the grain for the entire world.
Labor unions continue to make Minneapolis one of the best places to work in the US today, but that came at a cost.
And there was a huge strike that happened in that neighborhood. It went pretty bad. People got killed. That was 1935, and it was
okay.
at the Flower City Ornamental Strike.
It's like FDR's first term or something.
It was 1935, and it was a year after the 1934 Minneapolis Teamsters Truckers Strike, which made Minneapolis a union town, by the way. And it was that strike, the Minneapolis Teamsters Truckers Strike of 1934, which was a series of 3 strikes in the city, where, by the way, the police, the National Guard, and the Citizens Alliance, which were self-deputized force of pro-business, anti-union people, injured and killed workers. So that was 1934. By the way, 2 other big strikes happened in 1934. Those 3 strikes are the reason why we got the National Labor Relations Act and the National Labor Relations Board the next year because of the civil unrest. So Frances Perkins was like, we got to make this happen. She was the labor secretary under FDR.
A drive through Minneapolis feels like a drive through history. Passing by, Janette pointed out Little Earth. It's a place central to the city's indigenous community today. And it was right near here that the American Indian movement was founded in 1968 to confront police brutality and other systemic injustices. But as we kept on, the history of the land hit the reality of the present. Minneapolis is not immune to the nation's housing crisis.
Some of the people are addicted to fentanyl and other drugs, but they're also homeless for various reasons because we're all one paycheck away from being homeless. And the mayor said he was going to end homelessness, but instead he's just criminalizing poverty and not giving real solutions.
Especially visible driving by are the fences that have been built blocking sidewalks and other public spaces from being used at all.
See how it says no trespassing? They don't want people sleeping, living, eating. So something I've done a lot of is like whenever I have extra food, especially working for the union, we have a lot of leftover food. So I bring over leftover food to the encampments. Even in the really cold winter, it gets down to like -60 here with the wind chill. But people die from extreme cold. It's a big deal that like we make sure people get help, and they're not getting the help that they need.
This video was filmed back during fall, and the brutal winter was yet to come, but I had no concept of what the city would endure just a few months later, as the world watched in horror while state-sponsored murder was broadcasted live. But it is spring again in Minneapolis, and as my dad has often pointed out to me, objects in the mirror are closer than they appear. Minneapolis isn't just one story. In many ways, it's a place that embodies the story of the US, maybe even the world. It's a place that makes you look a little closer. It's real, and it's awake. This short trip barely scratched the surface, but next time I'm staying longer. May the heroes from Minneapolis rest in peace, but never be forgotten. George Floyd, Renee Good, Alex Pretty,